All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Merely Bo, the great Z. Give it a shot. Yep. You're on. He's on.
How about it? What is going on with your headphones? Maybe
No,
it's your
it's-
earbuds.
No, it's not the headphones. He can't even really hear it anymore.
It's okay now, but it's not like it used to be, I would say.
No.
This today feels like it used to be. Like I can hear you clean. Yep.
yeah, there, I got it.
There you got it. Yeah. But that it's not.
It hadn't been that way. It'd been very
no,
difficult to
it'd been
decipher.
it had some cutting to it.
Hence
so.
the on-off light. So I had a fun time this morning.
Let me write down notes.
Yeah, I don't know if you need notes, but I was just I told this to Gibbe earlier, but my guy Mario at the local grocer takes care of me in the meat department.
Oh,
huge
did you?
Browns fan, and a huge fan of the show. He loves the show. He loves our banter. He loves when Gibbe gives me grief.
Yeah. Well, he loves
so we had a
that even though he's your friend.
I might
Well, he
need some
said he
pork
can tell
butts.
that we like each other, so he thinks it's. He said,
So then it's a win. Yeah.
So
okay.
yeah,
All right.
Yeah. My mom sometimes isn't sure. She's like, "Are you sure Gibbe likes you?" I'm like, "Yeah, Mom,
Or
I'm
Nana.
pretty sure." Nana, she's not
I
always
do.
sure. I know.
I do.
Gibbe, reluctantly.
So Mario.
Yeah.
Did
So
you
it
have
was
some
great. That
meats?
was just all. So we got some meats. Yeah, I'm gonna have some nice. I'm doing some pork tonight. Got a couple of pork ribeyes, which are
A
delightful.
pork ribeye. I'm not sure I've ever had a pork ribeye.
I bet you have. It looks a lot like a pork chop, except it's got
They just got the bone on it.
the outside, no bone, the loin, and then around it, you almost have like a rib cap on it. That's a slightly different color. So if you ever gotten the pork chops where they're like slightly two different colors on the one on the outside and on the inside,
Pork chops is something that was certainly
I love a pork
prominent
chop.
in my youth.
the other white meat.
Yeah.
What an
Yeah.
ad campaign that was.
It's a hell of a curveball.
The other white meat. Yeah.
The other white meat. Yeah.
Chicken, pork.
Not a whole lot of similarities.
Not a lot of similarities
between the two. I don't make it much now.
Really?
No. And it was something that my mom made a great pork gravy. I remember we would do pork. She would do pork. It was always a standard: pork chops, mashed potatoes, gravy, and then applesauce. Like those forever were
baby.
that was the setup there. And the
Yeah.
pork gravy I remember being very, very good with a heavy pepper.
I think you
and
need
salt.
to dive. You need to dive back into that.
Maybe
that
I do.
hub.
I haven't made it. How do you make them? How do you make yours?
So sous vide 'em and then finish
Yeah.
them on the grill. As I baste them in a delicious barbecue sauce. I usually do like a sweet and smoky rub on them.
Okay.
And then, sometimes I'll do a Tuscan pork chop, but with some rosemary and,
Yeah.
garlic. But typically I like to go barbecue,
Yeah.
a barbecue pork chop. And then I'll tell you the thing that you're missing out on, though, is not having pork tenderloin in your life. I feel like is a big
I
loss for you.
have
Pork
made
tenderloin's
pork tenderloin in the
delightful.
sous vide. I've done that. That is a delicious
Even
treat.
better on the Traeger.
Smoke it out.
A
Yeah.
smoked pork tenderloin after you've marinated it. The
Yeah.
marinade they have is it's like apple cider and some honey, pepper, thyme.
What about
salt.
the apple chutney? I do that with a pork chop.
Oh yeah, an apple
Yeah, you can do a chutney.
Yeah,
no
you do
one's
a chutney.
afraid of it. No one's getting hurt.
Love
yeah.
a chutney. And
We
by
just
the way,
had pork ribs on Sunday though, which were
Some
delicious.
baby
I
backs?
loved those. I made
or,
those over the
or
weekend.
were they baby backs or the spare ribs?
They were the baby backs.
Love the baby
Yeah.
backs.
So I will
Just fall off.
I will smoke
good.
those. I rub the ribs
Yeah.
in yellow mustard, salt and pepper. Throw them in the
Smoke 'em
smoker
up.
for
Yep.
2 hours, and it has a fantastic crust.
I like that.
So it's just 2 hours in
pretty
the
good.
smoker.
Yeah, yeah. You don't need more than
They go
depending
pretty
on how
quick.
many
Pork
racks
tenderloin
you're
goes
doing.
fast. It's
Yeah.
like 3 hours and then it's done in an hour. It's like your
Yeah.
time's off on it.
Yeah, it's pretty great. But like, just rub
What
it
temp
down
do you do
totally
it
in
at?
mustard, so you get a nice little crust.
yeah, I like that.
What's
Like
your
where
temp
it's at.
on in the smoker?
I want to say it's probably around 200.
Okay. Is your smoker like where it's got the thermostat where you can like set the temp like that?
Yeah, of course it is.
All right.
You kidding me? You know the people. All the people.
I could
he's
see
got
him-
these huge crowds that he's
Yeah, but I
got
could
coming
see
in
him
mixing.
do it by feel. That's a man who looks like
Well,
he
he
wants
could-
to smoke by feel.
I'm sure he could do it by feel, but he also there's precision if needed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got the special gloves.
Well, that's all I got to do
I've
is
got-
do 2 hours.
The gloves are amazing. Those black gloves.
Yep,
Those,
I have those.
I got those babies. That's
They're
a game
great.
changer. Those things, man, to just pull
My
the
friends
meats
at the
apart.
Proper Pig gave those to me.
Oh, it's
great.
unbelievable.
Can you Gibbe, or can somebody send me an Amazon link to? I want these gloves.
You'll want them.
Yeah, I mean,
I do.
literally, you're
You can just get
dealing
in there.
with this meat that is just
Piping hot.
piping hot, and you never even know it.
You
You're
just-
just pulling it apart.
It's amazing. The biggest so I saw it in all like the TikToks or whatever. Like I would see all the people using these black
Yep.
gloves, and then
I want it.
What put it? You need to get them. What put me over the edge was I was having to carve a turkey which we've established is the most overrated of all of the meats.
Not
and
in your house. It's transformative.
I mean, I tried, but even in retrospect, that was boastful and much overzealous. But I was so I had to carve the turkey at it was at Thanksgiving. I had to carve the turkey, and it always annoyed me that you have to wait for it because you burn your hands trying to carve the damn thing. And so I got these gloves, and it's just a game changer. Like anytime I make a whole chicken now, I use them. When I carve that sucker up, I like a whole roasted chicken. That's a win. I use it for all. Yeah, it's a game changer. The gloves are a game changer. Absolutely.
I want them. I'm looking. I've got a buzz, and I was hoping it was you sending me a link somehow.
Well,
magically.
I was doing all this.
I know,
had
but
notes
I was just
and
hoping.
pens
I didn't
and
know
all
Gibbe.
this.
I can't see Gibbe, so I thought maybe Gibbe.
I'll get you the ones that you need. We'll get that sorted.
I mean, this is exciting.
Yeah.
Like-
So's this day, by the way.
Yeah, it's gonna be gone tomorrow.
Just one day.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have half a day tomorrow.
Till what?
1:30, 2 o'clock.
I will have no day, but I
No
mean,
day.
yeah.
Well, no, neither will I.
Same. We got
Your
oppressor.
I've given more thought to your last Friday strategy, and the thinking behind it, and I think it is for those who can do it. I think it is one of the smartest things that anyone. It's so transformative of a thought process of we don't get very many good days. If you see one, you've got to take advantage. You'd have to bank a couple of days here or there. Most of them are accounted for with vacations and all that stuff. But if you have spare days, my recommendation to Ohioans at large or any other of our listeners, because we are the world's team who are in a climate where it is not great, if you have a great day in the middle of a brutal weather stretch, you got to live, man.
You get an 80-degree
You gotta
sunny
live.
day in April
You got to go.
in this climate, and
You
you
gotta
know
go.
it's coming. You take that day off.
You got to.
Gotta
I
do
think
it.
it's a smart.
Yeah, would have been nice to have this 24 hours ago. Started league play last night. It was a solid 49 degrees when I finished.
Eesh.
God, you get league play.
Rough.
League play already? You're in the mix?
We're in the
I
hooligans.
mean, you're not.
Away we go. There you
Gosh,
go.
I should have kept mine in studio.
There you go.
At any point. Do you have? Are you? You got to be cart path only.
No.
You were zooming around everywhere.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I was impressed with how great the course, how good a shape everything was in.
Well, it should be. It's been cool and wet, and then they had the 2 weeks of really warm and sun, so everything should look great.
Yeah. Did you wear this hat yesterday?
No, I did not wear that hat yesterday. I was wearing a winter skull cap.
Do you have different? That I would have liked to have seen. Do you have different hats every year? A new design every year?
Oh yeah, we have new gear,
That's a good one.
fleeces.
That's a great
We have
one.
quarter zips.
Great logo.
Quarter zips, fleeces, hats. It's amazing. Like the Ryder Cup. It's amazing.
Yeah,
You have a quarter zip with this logo on it?
yeah. I have polos, dry
I like
fits.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'd wear that in support of the hooligans. I'd even pay to wear it.
That's a good one. I like that a lot. It is a mailbag
Thank
Thursday.
you for saying that, though, by the way. And I want to say this to you.
Can I finish this real quick? Okay. Tweet your questions to Z or use the hashtag AskCBD. I think we mean to Gibbe.
Why tweet them to me?
Gibbe.
Tweet
And
That was from
hashtag
last week.
Tweet
I
to
didn't get a
@Browns
chance to
_daily.
change it. We were downstairs doing some pre-taping for next week's draft show. Didn't copy. I copied and pasted.
Stevie's gone, and then this is what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's better than
Last
the intro
week's
that
things.
used to be on there.
Could be. Ask CBD. Well, 2:30. We'll get to that. Honestly, we might get to that 2:10. I don't know. 2:01.
No,
Could be a
because
whole hour.
we have guests. We're talking
Oh, I haven't
bites.
even looked that far ahead.
We have
We had
Minnesota
Minnesota.
today.
Oh, baby. MVD.
Oh boy.
I love-
MVD.
oh, man. Favorite Viking? Easy.
Easy.
That's easy.
Let's. I think on that one we have to do. You have to do third favorite Viking.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
Third favorite Viking.
Okay.
Because one for you is obvious, and then one
So's
for
two.
me is obvious. Two for you is obvious. So let's just go the third favorite Viking.
Okay. I
on
like
that.
that. Oh, baby. I just
Matthew Collar is our.
We
is
had
our-
him on when we signed Dalvin.
because we always had Courtney
great.
on, Courtney Cronin, when she
She's
was
down in
there, but
Chicago.
now she's in Chicago.
Yeah.
But she was always the Vikings
was.
correspondent, official correspondent. of the
Wasn't
program.
Tom Pelissero a Vikings guy before?
That predates me. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yes,
that.
He was.
he was.
It's a springboard spot.
Yeah.
You called it. You said it, man. I just wanted to go back to what you were saying earlier about the strategy, and I
Do I
do
need
hope that
notes?
no, you don't need any notes. Everybody should adopt it. I've said this to you privately, and I would like to say this to you publicly as well. Thank you. I would not have been able to do that were it not for you stepping up and allowing me to do that. So
I'm
thank
not
you.
your boss, so I
no,
don't, you don't have to thank me for
but
anything.
if you were also
Who is?
saying I'm also out, And this guy was on vacation. He
Yeah.
wasn't going to do it, and which would have been a very reasonable thing for you to say.
Yeah.
As well, I'm saying I couldn't have done it. Sometimes it takes a team, and I couldn't have done it without my team. So I want to
Well, you're
thank
very
you
welcome.
for lifting me up. And
I would have liked to have seen
I
you
was-
score in the
day.
60s, quite frankly.
It was that day was the 72. It was an
Yeah, I know
even
you
par.
were 34.
I know 34.
I would have liked to have seen that stacked. By the way, we on the you guys have got to get. You need to get an Xbox just for this game. This PGA Masters
All right, I'm
thing
buying it today.
is unbelievable.
Buying it.
Really?
It is so much.
Are
fun.
we going to play? Will you?
It's
will
so
you-
much fun.
Will we? Will we?
We'll
play?
see. We'll see. The
I'm supposed to buy it, but we'll see if we're going to play.
Well, no. I'm telling you, like
Oh.
it is so much fun. Like I've never played like a video game other than the Mario stuff with the boys, and like you create the golfer, you got to go through Q school, you got to go play on the what's the
So it's like
tour?
Tiger Woods.
Corn Ferry Tour.
Back
It is.
in-
It's the first time they've made that game. I think Rory did one in like
Rory,
16
yeah, uh-huh.
or something like that. So EA went out of the business. They were out of the business of golf games, and then they came back with this one, PGA. I think it's PGA 23 or 24, the Masters.
That's awesome.
I love it.
So you got to battle on the Corn Ferry. You got to build up your stuff. You got to all of those things.
Can you just buy the thing where you can make your dude perfect right out of the get?
What's
out
the
of
fun though? It's the struggle. Like battling to get through the Corn Ferry. It was so much fun. Like I don't need to be a 99. I want to build to that. So, and you're like my kids. That's how they
That's-
are. Dad, can't you just give them $100 and we could just be perfect? No.
I'd rather build the teams like
We're
in
building
Madden
it.
or
No,
college
I
football.
understand that part of it is fun.
And the struggle's fun. Like it was fun. Like it mattered. Like the first time we won on the Corn Ferry, it was like we're eligible for the tour, dude. Let's go. Let's get on tour.
All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it in honor of you.
I think you'll like it.
I'm gonna start from the ground up.
You're gonna have so much fun. So we played. I was explaining to him because I knew it would be similar to PGA. We'd won a couple events. We won. We did so like he'll play around, I'll play around, and you can play around in 20 minutes. Like
Yeah.
it's quick. So
Yeah.
we won at Torrey. We won at Pebble. We won a couple of events.
Great in California.
Yeah, we were great. Won the Waste Management. So we had a really nice West Coast swing, and he was getting pretty chesty. And I'm like, I don't know if we qualified for the Masters. It's invite only, like, because you don't know if you get in or not. So sure enough, we ended up winning the Players, which I think that put us in, and then we qualified for the Masters. So you get to the Masters. The presentation. So it's Sir Nick Faldo introducing you, welcoming you to Augusta.
Great.
That
The
doesn't
first
suck.
they take the car ride through around. They talk about it. It's like a minute and a half video montage, and then they go to Player Palmer and Watson hitting the
On the
ceremonial tees.
First
They
tee.
show them all hitting it, and then you play. And I was telling my son, I'm like, buddy, I'm telling you, if this is anything like the old game, it's going to be a whole new day when you get to Augusta because of the greens. So in the old game, remember, they would not show you the greens, like the speed or any of the trajectory.
Yeah.
You just had to know it. So it wasn't quite that bad. It was much more accessible. But my guy, he's like, Dad, let's go. Let's get it going. First hole, double bogey. I'm like, dude, we're cooked.
Like John Rahm.
We might be cooked. We might be cooked. So he was. I took over. I'm like, dude, we gotta let's be around even par after day one. We can't be out of this thing after day one. But he was introduced to these greens at Augusta, and the incredible undulation
Yeah.
that is there. It's so much fun.
Here is it? Can it be done? Let me put it this way: can the Masters have their own video game like Madden, and
Well, that's-
every year it's a different field? Like if the Masters came out,
No.
and you had like the greats, you could unlock the greats. You
You
could
can do some of that. I would say no because, as evidence to, I think I said this last week with you guys, this game is the PGA Tour game, but what they put the onus on was getting the right courses. So and the majors. So you can win the Masters, the PGA, the
So
US
Tiger's
Open,
not in it.
and the Open. So they have all four majors. They have the players, and they have those courses, right?
Yeah.
So the other one, the 2K version, Tiger's on the cover, and they have the players, but they don't have the courses, and you can't win majors. I'm sure they have fake majors, right? But you can't win the Masters. It's probably the East Coast Championship or something like that. Like it's not the Masters. So I think EA chose right, and I was explaining this to the boys, like you're not going to want to go play with Tiger Woods. You're going to want to build yourself up is what you're going to want to do.
Yeah, you want to go play
Yeah.
Augusta.
Yeah. So
you
like
wanna,
that Wolf Creek that you play's on there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Bootsy was standing on a tee box trying to hit a driver. By the way, some of those tees had to be insane.
Yes.
If that, because this game's so realistic.
You are correct.
There was one that was 135 feet down, and the kid's trying to hit a driver and land it like this way. I go, buddy, you're going to end up 6 fairways over, man.
I think that was at the par 3.
It's in the front. It's on the front. It's
Yeah.
like you were.
I hit 7 iron.
135 feet up.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It would be cool if there was a golf game though where you could set up the tour with like so you could play. What would it be like to play on the tour when Tiger at his peak, Jack at his peak, Arnie, all of those guys,
gosh,
they're
yeah.
all on that.
That's
tour.
what I mean.
That
like,
would
is
be
there-
good. The problem is I think in golf there's too many licensing agreements.
Yeah.
Because as I was fit to finish the point on the PGA game, like Koepka's on it, DeChambeau's on it. Like this game
it's
we
all
have.
before they left.
It's they must have had the rights to him before they left.
Yeah, yeah.
So like all of those guys are on that game.
Interesting. I like it.
Yeah, it's
they
good. Really
when
good.
you're putting, do they still show you the thing when you get it? Like you line up where you think, and then you can press the thing, and it shows you what it would do where you hit if you
It'll
were to hit
read
that.
at certain whatever level you're on. Like we started out on a lower level, so it will show you like the line, but it won't say like 2 feet left, 3 feet this. Like it just shows you. Like,
yeah,
the
it shows you
line.
that right, and then
you
you have
gotta
to try to figure out
like how far that is.
The best is when you do it and you hit that line, and then it's in, and you're like, oh man, I read it perfectly. And
Yeah,
you know it's
you
gonna
get
go
that. Yeah,
in. Just pull. All I gotta do is just back and forth.
that's it. That was
Back
something I
and
was trying to tell him. Like it's really just this, bud. That's really what you're
That's
going
all
for.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was good. 1 week from tonight, the NFL draft. Away we go.
Oh baby, not for us.
Not for us. It is. I was saying this morning.
1 week from tomorrow, the NFL draft.
I was saying this
For us.
morning that there is. I'm appreciative for why we don't have a pick, but there is a lot of juice off of it when
They
you
just draft you.
when you don't, and also even the Bengals are picking late in the first round, so there's not a whole lot there in terms of to be paying attention to. It sounds like they're going to go. Tight
I mean,
end in the
everybody-
first round.
everybody in our
Curious
division
What's going to
is.
happen with Baltimore and with Pittsburgh? But that's
Sure, but no one's in the top 5. No
No.
one's in the top 10. No one's picking. Where it feels like here's somebody who's going to change the trajectory of the division.
Yeah,
There's
hopefully
no
not.
one in there. It'd be a hell of a pick if any of them did.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of nonsense out there. My favorite story of yesterday was the Rappaport story with the 49ers. That was just impeccable.
Like it's embarrassing
I agree.
for everybody involved.
Yeah, I agree.
It's embarrassing for Trey Lance. It's embarrassing for the Niners that they put it out there, and it's embarrassing for Rapport that he wrote it like that for the Niners.
It's embarrassing that the Niners thought we would all be so stupid, or did they not care? I suppose they knew
don't
it. They don't care. They just wanted the information out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's just the silliest thing ever. And then this Ryan Clark Brady Quinn stuff.
Yeah, do
from
you wanna do
yesterday.
it?
I
wanna
printed
do-
out an excerpt of
Yeah,
the
do you want to
back
do
and
it? You want
forth.
to? Would you like to be Ryan Clark or Brady?
Do you know?
Oh God, are you kidding me? Right now, is he in South Beach? What? Did he just close a deal on a yacht? What? Did that
Oh
just
my
happen?
God, I don't know. That was unbelievable. It was T. Scott's on the feet. I know that.
I didn't even get
The
there.
glasses
the glasses were too
were
much
just
for me.
too much.
Open shirt,
Open shirt. Oh my God.
top collar over the blazer.
Jeez.
And he looks quite tan.
I think he's just lit. Well, I think he's been out, right?
I think he was on assignment last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was on holiday, maybe, perhaps. That was I don't know how you come back from that. All right. I'll be Ryan Clark
Okay.
You can be Brady Quinn.
It feels like a better side for you.
because I know Brady Quinn.
Okay. Well, I'm
And
just
you know
reading
Brady
his
too,
words.
yeah.
I know Brady well. I like Brady.
Yeah.
This is just an amazing.
It's amazing back and forth. Ryan Clark.
So okay.
The setup is this.
Yep. We
Brady
talked about
Quinn
it
yesterday. Did we play the audio? I played it this morning.
We had it.
I
We
brought
had
it
it.
to our.
You brought it to my
yeah.
attention, and we all saw it, and it was Brady Quinn. The 30 seconds in the back half of the minute of audio is him saying C.J. Stroud should be the second pick. The first 30 seconds is him saying he's hearing that one of the reasons he's dropping is because C.J. Stroud at the last minute bailed on the Manning Academy camp
Right.
that they do every summer, where he would have been a counselor at it, and that they're royalty, and you don't turn your nose up at the Mannings, or you don't something like that.
Do you guys want me to pull it up?
Do you have that? Do we want to do it? You want to do it?
You can. I sent him.
you got
sent Nick the
All right.
link
Yeah,
yesterday.
why not?
so.
All right,
Yeah,
go ahead.
give me
All
one
right.
second.
So,
Yep,
so
here we
that's the
are.
background of it. All right, go ahead, Nick. Thanks, buddy. Go ahead and play it.
And then there's some other stuff about interviews and maybe, for example, the Manning Passing Academy. I'd been told that, he committed to it the night before, especially around the Manning family or just in general if you're going to be a franchise quarterback. So, look, I still view him as the second quarterback that should be taken in this draft class. He's the most accurate quarterback in this draft class. He showcased the athleticism and ability. Anytime I've been around the kid, he's been an upstanding young man who's grown and matured into the leader that I think NFL teams are looking for. So, some of that stuff. And as far as the system he plays in, all the talent he plays around, he can't help that. He just can deliver the ball like he has and put up the numbers that he did. So I think he'll be the number 2 quarterback taken, but there is some talk right now, and maybe it's smoke screens, who knows, that maybe some other teams are saying, well, wait a second, if Richardson has a higher ceiling, maybe he makes more sense for us to take if we can't have a guy like Bryce Young that we feel more confident about in his processing and decision-making.
So Brady got into it with Ryan. He just actually tweeted about it 3 seconds ago. A lot of people who I've never met didn't watch the pod with a lot to say. No, and I know Brady. Done radio shows with Brady.
He's saying, and he did say, I was told.
I was told, and then the last part about you don't do that to the Mannings or something
That part
like
was
that
odd.
was odd. So that led to Ryan Clark and Brady having this back and forth. Ryan Clark, I'll play the role of Ryan Clark.
Yes.
C.J. Stroud never committed to attending the Manning camp. He chose to work with his teammates at Ohio State football instead his final season. He wasn't paid to go, and furthermore, Brady Quinn, what does acquiescing to the Manning family have to do with leading an organization? Clark continues. This is also an example of analysts like Brady Quinn telling stories zero value to diminish a man's character while validating his own. Instead of dissecting film or speaking to coaches, an adult man stooped to gossip while analyzing its immature evaluation of football integrity.
Brady Quinn. This is also an example of an analyst not doing his homework. There was no shot taken at his character, and clearly you don't know me, my work ethic, or integrity. Maybe do the work and listen to the podcast before you start making claims. Also, instead of resorting to Twitter, why don't you join the podcast to discuss? Open invitation, or I'll gladly come on a podcast of yours to discuss. Let me know. God bless.
Ryan Clark. I have zero need to join a podcast to refute this claim. As you suggested, I did do my research. I wanted to know what happened before tweeting about it. The entire story was not shared on the podcast, left out important details that could have provided clarity. I've had convos with CJ, and he's shown exemplary leadership ability. Former teammates and coaches rave of his unselfishness. I didn't question your work ethic. I pointed out your decision to use gossip as a qualifier instead of all the time you put into your craft. That's a you decision.
So, 5 things. 1, Brady Quinn did say he heard this.
Mm-hmm.
Where, I'd be curious at this point. 2, the comments about that's not how you treat the Manning family was, and to be a leader of an organization, like what is how you treat the Manning
does that
family
have to do with anything? Yeah.
Anything. That seemed very odd to me. 3, Ryan Clark obviously comes strongly to the defense of C.J. Stroud. Now, Brady Quinn, I thought, also did talk about his film and what he saw in the full
He said
part
he should
of
be
that.
the second quarterback taken.
Because he's the most accurate quarterback in this class, and talked about where he put that on display. It just feels like there's Clark, I felt, after especially hearing like the last one, has taken this to almost like a personal level, a bit aggressively.
There's more here. Let me enlighten you, because it's almost become an ESPN versus CBS deal.
Oh,
I thought Brady was with Fox.
He does CBS Sports Network.
But
He does CBS Sports
he does
HQ.
the college
He does their
football
college
pregame
football.
show on Fox.
Beats me. RG3. Brady Quinn's attempt to tear down C.J. Stroud's character was bogus. C.J. did not no-show at the Manning Passing Academy without warning because he did not commit to going. I know because I did the research. Brady Quinn said he simply repeated something he was told, but it is still your responsibility to vet character-damaging info yourself before echoing it to millions of people. Too often, lies are reported and used to hurt players. That ain't right. BQ responds, what I was told was vetted. It's also not my opinion of him, which if you watched the podcast, you would have heard. Looking forward to your book coming out. Now, here's the best one.
Oh, boy.
Prisco's involved now.
Oh,
Pete,
God.
Yeah, way to jump in.
He goes, Brady, don't bother. Those guys from other media companies ripping you all invented the game, the draft process, helmets, the 100-yard field, the shape of the football tackling, you name it. Just ask them.
Prisco. trying to inject himself into it.
And away we go. I mean, That's a lot.
He said this is what he heard. If they're saying that he should not have repeated something that he heard, he obviously heard it from somewhere.
There is a responsibility for any of us when we have this on, speaking of the mic or whatever, to, if you're going to say something out loud, it better damn well be true, or it better be really vetted from people who you trust. Now, I know Brady a little bit, and I have a hard time believing that he didn't get that from somebody he trusts. He's not reckless. That's
Right.
not who he is as an individual.
Right.
Now, he does throw his opinion on the end, as you just don't do that to the Mannings, because what he's doing by saying that he is
But
acknowledged.
that could have been what was said to him. That's
No,
why
I think
this
that's
was a
him
thing.
saying that. To me, I read it as him saying
Okay.
it, saying you just don't do that to the Mannings, and that then almost gives validity to what you heard. It almost passes it off as fact by saying that. Because
Okay.
you're saying you just don't do that to the Mannings, as opposed to this is what I heard, and you don't do that to the Mannings, makes that feel like that happened. Where from everything I've been told from people who I trust, who I think would know, this is not how that played out at all.
Yep.
So it feels like a game of telephone that Brady was on the last end of.
Yep.
And there's a kernel of truth in terms of the fact that CJ didn't go to the Manning Academy, and maybe it's a misunderstanding or whatever. But it's almost presented as if it was the day before, hours before
He ghosted it. He
goes
used the
to
word
Peyton
ghosted.
Span, just ghosts the Mannings and doesn't show.
Right.
And that is not, from what I understand from people I trust, that's not the way it went.
Yep.
So there you go. We'll see. None of it's going to mean anything.
this is your drama 1 week out. There's always one story leading up to the draft.
Well, and then the other thing that's going on right now is Houston at 2. Because it feels to me like they're trolling, trying to see what's available, and is it beneficial for them to drop a little bit, draft a defensive player, and then get back to the wet their beak in the quarterback market next year.
And when you need to know,
Didn't
the
you see
general will join us tomorrow at 2:30.
Oh, there you go.
Will Anderson is now the betting favorite to be drafted
Correct.
second overall.
If they do that, that's really silly.
If they do that, that means they blew it so hard at the end of
Yes.
last season that it is completely insane.
That the only quarterback they wanted was Bryce Young.
and they had it in
They
their
had it in their grasp.
in their grasp.
Yeah.
All they had to do is lose.
Yeah, and they blew it. To the extent now they're going to take a defensive end and then get back in the quarterback derby next year.
That'd be an all-time "you blew it, boy."
That would be an all-time you blew it, boy. It's a mailbag Thursday.
Listen,
Get
if
those
you're
questions in. Go ahead.
If you're Davis Mills, though, and that is what happens, you saved your job.
For one more year, you did. Yeah, you get another year to play. Yeah. We'll go around the sports world. Coming up next, we will also get into a little bit of Vikings as we continue. Myles Garrett's meeting with the media will happen as well today. We're off and running on a Thursday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. Coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Experience full throttle family fun. Monster Jam. World-class athletes. Their 12,000-pound monster trucks tear up the dirt. Wide open competition. Speed and skill. Witness massive stunts, big air, backflips, fierce head-to-head battles for the event championship. The most action-packed motorsports experience for families in the world comes to Cleveland Browns Stadium Saturday, June 3rd until Friday. You can purchase a family 4-pack for $80. Use offer code MJ4PACK. For more info, go to clevelandbrownsstadium.com. We had talked about this. I think we talked about it yesterday or the day before about the A's, how they were trying to do a fan-in. They had the fan base was saying, "Look, it's not our problem. It's between you and everybody else."
Yeah,
It's
it
not
was
because the fan
yesterday, I
base doesn't
believe,
care."
that there were rumors of this.
They were going to have like all the fans were going to show up for some game in June and prove to them that they have this great fan base. The Oakland A's respond by saying, actually, we're going to buy some land in Vegas, and we're out of here, and they'll do so by 2027. They've signed an agreement to purchase land near the Vegas Strip, where they intend to build a new $1.5 billion 35-seat stadium with a partially retractable roof. The A's hope to be moved into their new stadium by 2027. It's Vegas in the summer. That roof better be
What
on.
is partially?
Is that like maybe they do it so they could open up so they can get some airflow like in the spring and fall,
Yeah.
I suppose?
Yeah.
But the roof is going to stay on. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Sad, man.
It's a team of your youth.
Yeah. I had season tickets. It's amazing that they still play in the stadium that I went to. I mean, that is
It's stupefying.
bizarre.
And it's that they play in the stadium you went to and it's not Wrigley Field or Fenway.
Right.
Like it is a multi-purpose circle stadium that was built in the 70s.
The Oakland Invaders of the USFL played there. The Oakland Raiders played there.
Both times, right?
Both times. The Warriors used to also play right next door.
Right.
It was at the same complex.
Mm-hmm.
They have obviously since moved on. The A's are the only, if you think about the Bay Area of my youth, the Giants and the 49ers were both at Candlestick. They are both now in their new stadiums and have been for some time.
Yeah.
The
Warriors are across the
Warriors
bay,
are
right?
across the bay. The only team of my youth that still plays where they played when I was young is the A's. The San Jose Sharks, I think, are still in the same arena in San Jose, but they were not. They came along
Yeah.
later. But yeah, team of my youth, the A's. So it's sad to think that they're gone and they're going to be in Vegas.
It's a pretty wild thing to think that
How could
so
the-
three franchises will have left Oakland in the last decade, with the Raiders, the A's, and the Warriors all being gone. Warriors across the bay, but they're no longer in Oakland.
correct?
And it's pretty remarkable to me that a area that has that size population juxtaposed with that much wealth did not find a way to keep the Raiders and or A's. Not Oakland specifically, but the region.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I know
That's
they looked
wild.
at Santa Clara, they looked at San Jose. It's just amazing to me that they didn't find a way to keep the A's in that region.
I wonder why they didn't just do kind of what they do in New York at MetLife, where the Jets and the Giants both play at MetLife Stadium.
Could you do that in baseball, though?
No, but in football you could.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd know better than me. But I mean, it's Al Davis. Like, is Al Davis going to share anything with anybody? He had to share.
No, but this would have been well after Al that they built the Niners' new place.
Well, no, he would have still been.
He would have been around then.
He would have been around then.
But I'm
And
saying
then
they
to
didn't
Mark,
leave. They left
with Mark.
with Mark.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, they left at that point. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So that area will now just have the Niners, the Giants, and the Warriors,
And the Sharks.
and the Sharks, and that's it. And it was a time when it was a 2 in every of the 3 bigs. It was 2 in every
It's
one.
interesting. So now only New York and LA have 2 NFL teams
Yeah.
for a region. Chicago never had doubled
No.
up on anything. I mean, it probably is more apropos. I guess it makes sense. And Vegas is not a bad venue. But
I do wonder what is. Are we reaching the point, because it's like the worst kept secret in the sports world is that the NBA is going to extend
Vegas team.
to Vegas with add 2 more in expansion with Vegas and Seattle. That the Seattle Sonics will be back, and then there will have a Las Vegas team as well. Well, first of all, the idea that the last pro sports league in this country to go to Las Vegas, being the NBA, is stupefying.
Crazy.
I thought they would be first.
Yep.
And instead they're going to be last. It was the NHL that was first. And then the
10
second
years ago, they had none, right?
None.
The LA
No,
Golden
nobody wanted
Knights
any
are-
part of it because of gambling.
Yeah, now it's
Now it's like, okay, yeah, we're fine.
Yeah.
So all these checks cash. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
So can Las Vegas handle all this? Like, are you aware of the size of the city of Las Vegas from a population standpoint? Are you aware of the size of the metro in Vegas, like the actual population?
Of
Because-
Vegas, can I take a guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Of the metropolitan area in Vegas?
Do you want perspective?
I'm
Or
thinking
not?
like around 1 million, maybe 500,000 to 1 million.
Metro?
Yeah.
Oh, it's much bigger than that.
Much
metro.
bigger?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just feels so, I guess, because you only are on the Strip, and those people, none of them live there.
All I know is if you go west, like within 20 minutes of downtown and the Strip, like you are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
driving to Mesquite, that's the
5
that's a
million?
big take.
I just want to give some perspective here.
Hey, give me some
So it's
perspective.
actually, it's grown exponentially in the last 20 years. It's
'Kay.
grown like crazy. So the city of Las Vegas's population is around 600,000. The metro is 2.2 million. So it's a pretty good sized metro.
okay.
But that includes Henderson and Paradise
So I
and,
was-
and all. So you're in the vicinity.
1 million. Yeah. and I bet 20 years ago it was.
I'm sure you were exactly right.
Yeah,
It was 1 million.
okay.
So Cleveland Metro right now is showing 1.7, but that obviously doesn't count Akron, Canton,
Sure.
and all of that, because Columbus Metro is well over 3 million, and they just have the NHL. They have the Buckeyes, but they just have the NHL from a professional sports standpoint. What I'm curious about is, okay, so the Cleveland Metro, it looks like it's 3.6
Okay.
is what it
Yeah,
is.
so it's
significantly
half.
bigger. Yeah. What I'm curious about is, can they support all this stuff? Is there enough corporate dollars? Like, you're going to have to go to, it's going to be casinos, high rollers, casinos own suites, high rollers. Hey, you want to go take in a game? That type of
You're
thing,
gonna
right?
you're gonna be catering to the fans coming from out of
Yes.
town.
Sure, but
I mean,
once
that's-
you
And
do
you can
that
do that
once,
for-
are you going to do that all the time?
No, you can do that with football. That's the problem with There's too many games.
Too many damn games, man.
That's the problem. Too many games.
Too many games. And so in the dead of summer, you're going to pack up the kids and drive west of the Strip and go. Now it'll be cool in there, so I guess there's that. They'll have it AC'd and all that. But I don't know. I mean, I think you do that trip once, right? Like, hey, let's go watch the Browns in Vegas.
That's
but
right.
like if we were in their division, you wouldn't go every year.
You might.
Some might. Yeah, some probably
might.
Yeah, the novelty of it.
I got some
Is it
degenerates
still
that would probably do
cheap to fly to Vegas? I haven't been to Vegas
It's not
in
cheap
so
to fly
long.
anywhere.
it.
No, I know that.
You,
Like there used to be a time like they really took care
No, they
of
wanted
you.
to get you there, and then
Yeah.
they were going to do
so
whatever.
that's what I'm interested in that, because my flight was during the NCAA tournament when we went out there. It was a little pricey. We went out Tuesday night because it was $35.
Yeah.
But like coming home on Saturday night,
$35. I can't believe that.
it was like
That's
it was like $350, $400 to come home. So I wonder, with all of the gaming apps and everything now, from an Ohio standpoint, is that affecting people? Like, do you really need to go to Vegas when you could just do it on your phone, right from the comfort of your
It's a
living
great
room?
point out of you. I still think there's an experience to Vegas.
Of course
that's a
there
premium,
is.
obviously. But in the old days, and yeah, I mean that's where we are. Like not only were the flights nothing, but the hotels
hotels
were
were
nothing.
cheap.
I mean,
like
it
you
is
get
the-
you
it
you
is
could
the
go
one-
stay at the MGM Grand when it was first. 5-6 years of its existence. It was like a 5-star hotel, and you'd
Yes.
pay like $129 a
Yep.
night.
Yes.
I did that.
And that's done now. Like
No.
that doesn't exist anymore. So I don't know if they've moved beyond it or they've just realized that they can charge it.
We stayed at the Rio on that Tuesday night,
right.
and it was like it was still $75.
Yeah.
But you were not on the Strip
Right.
necessarily.
Yeah, you're not staying at like Palazzo. for
Correct. I needed a
$150
bed for the night.
Vegas used to be, let's get you to Vegas,
Let's get
and
there.
we'll take
Now,
your money. Now
you can
it's
fly
yours.
direct.
Right.
That's the one thing this airport can do for you.
That is literally the one thing
The
this
one.
airport can do for you is that one. But yeah, so I just wonder, like, can all of it be supported? Because they're going to get NBA too. They're going to go from no sports teams in a decade to 4.
So I have a friend here in town that has 4 season tickets for the Raiders. Mm-hmm. And it's strictly to sell it. And he's like 50-yard line, like lower bowl, great seats.
Yeah.
And he specifically has those to flip them to sell to people that are coming in from out of town.
So when they first put those on sale, because a buddy of mine from Montana looked into it, and they said that you had to
Be a Vegas
you
resident.
had to go You had to commit to going to a certain percentage of games. Like you had to physically go before they would sell you the tickets.
Yeah.
Like you personally.
He has not had.
So
to
he's
deal
not had
How
to.
could they
I don't
know that?
I don't know how they could know it or not. But they were all worried about that because they didn't want it to not have a home field advantage.
Right.
And from what I understand, they don't. Not like they had in Oakland.
No.
Because these invading teams come in and buy it up. I'll tell you, the NHL didn't get much right in the last 25 years. In fact, they've gotten almost everything wrong. But being the first to Vegas was
They have a huge
right.
following there.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're locked in, man.
The
They are
Golden
locked
Knights.
locked into the fan base for sure. Did you guys watch any of the NBA last night?
I did not watch any of the association last night. I was
I
celebrating.
watched
a
some
birthday.
guy from Memphis called LeBron James an old man last night, post-game presser.
Boy, that guy, man. He is
What's the guy's name?
Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks,
Boy,
yeah.
he's a punk, man.
Why is he talking so much trash?
Well, because I think it's like, well, you guys remember like Ruben Patterson, Doug Christie, like all those guys who were Kobe stoppers. Remember?
But Doug
like, and then you
Christie
got to
was
get like, right, but you get like all
good.
chesty and then you kind of be a punk. I mean, this Dylan Brooks guy is basically like Draymond. Like, that's basically what he does. He's like an antagonist.
Draymond though was much more accomplished. I feel like than he.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so that's what that was from.
Like I've only heard of Dylan Brooks because of how annoying he is to people.
I think he played at Oregon. That Memphis team has flown really close to the sun with their behavior. I mean, they had the jaw stuff, and there's a lot going on there. They're a rough and tumble outfit. They bullied the Lakers last night, though. They did.
Without Ja, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They set the tone early. Anthony Davis was awful, and yeah, it was. But yeah, that
I
was
feel
it.
like he's been awful for. He's just not. He is not what they. He has not been for them what they thought he was going to be.
Not since they won it with him when he was one of the better players.
At the bubble.
Right. But no, like in terms of what he was with the Pelicans and what you thought that his, I mean, he was voted as one of the top 75 players in NBA history. He was on the All 75 team. Now,
Yeah.
now if you did an All 100 team, he doesn't make that. I don't think.
No way.
So yeah. All right, Miles was at the podium. We will have that for you coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. There's a new way to cheer on your Cleveland Browns to help your favorite four-legged companion, Barking Backers, presented by Milkbone, the Browns' newest club for pet parents worldwide. Sign up today, barkingbackers.com. Barking Backers, the fan club for dogs. And now let's head to the podium. Our guy, Myles Garrett. Let's have a listen.
The new additions to the defense. Got a couple new faces in there.
I'm excited.
You're down.
I mean, guys are hungry, ready to work. Already, talking about getting some extra work done. After workout was done, just trying to, start from that small group, seeing who we can get, and just trying to keep on adding more people to the fold, getting everybody to stay late and getting some extra work, just trying to get 1% better.
What was your reaction when Jim Schwartz was hired as coordinator?
I mean, I was excited for the opportunity. I know he's worked with a lot of great players, a lot of great defensive linemen, gotten the most out of those guys, and he plays wide open, as they say. Letting guys just run free and make plays on the ball. And he has the guys behind us cleaning everything up and making sure that they're coming downhill and that we're causing chaos and they're cleaning up everything up behind us. And I think that's how it should really function.
Early kind of interactions been with him?
I mean, positive. We've been talking scheme a little bit as far as what he expects out of me, where I'm going to line up, and the kind of positions I'll be in on first and second down. I haven't really talked about third down yet, but just how he's planning to change my play style, which from how we've talked, not that much.
Did you know much about Tom? Your game. I mean, you've already established yourself with a fantastic resume young in your career, but just how can Schwartz make you an even better player?
I don't think his emphasis is to make me a better player. I know he will with what he's doing and the scheme that he's putting out there for us. But he's out there to make us all a better defense. He's out there to get the most out of us and to make the best defense possible for the players he got out there. And I think his scheme will be tuned towards us, especially the guys up front, letting us go out there and hunt. And he knows he has some great guys on the back end as well. And so he's excited for the opportunity to utilize all of us. And I know he's going to make the most out of the talent he has in the room. And if he does, that'll showcase not only my talent, but all of our talents.
How does it help you to have a guy next to you in Dalvin Tomlinson who's big and can eat up blockers? Does that help you as an edge rusher?
No, we got two of them. I mean, Jordan can do it. I mean, Dalvin can do it. I mean, we got a couple of guys who, if they get going, they start moving forward and getting off the ball. They can eat up a double team. They can get off blocks and make TFLs and cause chaos in the backfield. So Dalvin is very impressive. I mean, he has a nice resume himself. So looking forward to the opportunity to work with him. And from how he speaks and how much he's looking forward to the opportunity, I think we'll be able to make something really good happen.
Did you know anything about him before he got here?
I mean, I watched him before. I watched him in college. I watched him a little bit in the pros. I can't say I've watched him like consistently, but when he's on the field, he stands out.
I know you knew Chris Smith very well. I mean, just what are your feelings today on hearing about the passing of Chris?
I was like disbelief. It was shocked. I was sad. I mean, it wasn't anything I was expecting, like waking up to. I know a couple of people called and texted me, and it was just so surprising. Chris is one of the kindest players and people that I've ever met. He was willing to give his shirt off his back for you, and he was always a great energy and just person to be around in the facility, outside of the facility, and it's just hard knowing that people like that can just go at any time. You talk to him, yesterday or today, and the next day he's gone. You just never know. You never know what people are dealing with or what they're struggling with.
Myles, back to the D-line with Dalvin, with Okoronkwo. It's kind of been that revolving door over the last couple of years. You've had to kind of get used to different guys at D-tackle and that other D-end. Is it nice to know that these guys are here, they're on long-term deals, and try to just build things over years?
I hope so. Hope we can make this consistent, make this a group that can be feared, because we're going to be here for a long time. We're going to be consistently good for a long time, and I feel like the Eagles have kind of the the recipe. How they've had Fletch, and they've had Jernigan, they've had Hargrave, who just left, they've had Graham, now they got Sweat. All these guys who can make plays in the backfield consistently good. They have their guys who are mainstays who've been there for a long time, and they got some new additions here and there. But you have guys that well, damn, we're facing the Eagles defensive line. We gotta buckle up. We gotta get ready. I'm hoping that we can put that same fear into people.
Miles, I know at the end of last year you were dealing with some nagging stuff still from the accident. I guess just how have you felt during the off season and getting that time to rest, and how's your training been going and everything?
It's been a journey in dealing with the shoulder during this off season. Then the Pro Bowl, wanted to add one with the little dislocated toe, so that didn't do me any favors. But it's been consistently good. It's been getting better little by little, and honestly, I got more beef with the Pro Bowl and messing on my toe than I do with the shoulder right now. I think the shoulder will be just fine. The toe is the most nagging thing. Trying to get out there, do agility, run, and plant. Stuff that I can do, but it's just nagging stuff like you said. It's just frustrating. But by the time season rolls around, I don't think any of that will be an issue.
That happened. I mean, it kind of like broke Brown's Twitter or whatever. Is it when you went down during that?
Only thing went through my mind was ain't no way. It was like my friends and some of my agent were like, you sure you want to do this? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And first wall I jump up on, hit my foot, and my foot goes numb. I'm like, oh damn, I just broke my toe. I'm thinking, man, Brown's Twitter is gonna go crazy right now. And so I finish and I start walking off. I was like, yeah, I can't feel the top of my foot. I'm like, there's no way I get set back like this from the Pro Bowl. But I mean, fortunately enough, wasn't the broken toe, just dislocation, and it's been a little bit difficult here and there. But honestly, I don't view anything holding me back when the season comes around.
Your big toe, and did you think that you might have to have surgery or anything?
I didn't think it was kind of surgery. It was my big toe, or it is my big toe. But it looked like a pug for a second. Then they got it back there, found it back in, and that was good. Well, good enough.
Miles, how much has Okoronkwo kind of reached out to you? How much has he tried to kind of pick your brain over the last month or so, since he's signed here? Just kind of getting to know you and trying to learn from you.
I wouldn't say we talked too much over the phone beforehand, but this week, I mean, we already went to dinner. We've talked pretty much all day, just trying to get to know him on the field. And when we're just sitting in the locker room, we're talking, seeing our tendencies, seeing what we like to do, seeing what we have in common. Just little stuff, how we can interact and build that chemistry, so that when the time comes, not only do I want to play with this guy, but I like this guy. I want to see him prosper. I mean, you can play with a guy and know he's really good, and you can like a guy and want to pick for him or want to play for him that gets him open. Those are things that make you go the extra effort, the extra mile to see a guy prosper, instead of just he's good. I want to see him make plays just because he's the guy, and it goes both ways.
With so many new faces on this defense, you've over the years grown into a really big leader for the defense. Do you see that kind of expanding with all of these new faces and even to be the new defensive coordinator?
I mean, I think my role still stays the same. Being a leader for this team and for this defense, and I've got to maintain that consistency and persistence to lead. And as long as I maintain that, I think we'll be on the right way. Just got to make sure everyone's pointing in the same direction.
Games days over after that?
Retired. Done. Like that right there, it's over. Hoops and obstacle courses are in the fine print. No more for MG.
I mean, that's not a natural drill that you guys do, jumping up walls and crawling under stuff.
It's the run away from the cops obstacle course. jumping over a wall or a fence and then ducking over a table or dunking under a table. It didn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me now. But, I mean, they're looking for new things to do and new activities and obstacles to try. And I have to say that wasn't it.
Because Roger Goodell at the Super Bowl, he was like, everybody loved it.
Who loved it?
Apparently,
There wasn't a single guy that I talked to who was like, yeah, I wanted it. Let's run this back.
I think the fans, I don't know, I guess it was a moneymaker. But anyways, so what would you propose to honor guys that do make the Pro Bowl?
You see, I think something like including the fans. Like, say you got the D-line and the O-line to be quarterbacks, and we played with fans, and like they were the skill positions, and then you had fans being quarterback and like running backs, and then you had like the skill guys playing their natural position, but you had fans and just fans playing those two, the quarterback and running back, and throwing to them and trying to play out the backfield. I think that could be fun.
Their toes then.
Well, that's on them. They don't want to see me dislocate my toe.
Miles, I know last year you talked about there's a theme for each one of your off seasons. Can you share what the theme is this year, if there is one?
Have some fun. It's been up and down for a while. Like this last year had its ups and downs. I feel like my career here has had its ups and downs, but you got to make the most out of things. Got to be grateful, especially with everything that's going on in the world, everything that's happened from day to day. I'm just trying to make the most out of every moment I have here. I can't. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. I'm trying to make the most out of today. I'm trying to make the most, get the most out of myself and from everyone I come in contact with. Just because that lasting impression I have on everyone I interact with could be the last thing they remember of me. So I want to make it a good memory. I want to be a good person to be around, as subjective as that is.
You said that you didn't think your role or whatever would change much with Schwartz. A lot's made about him using the wide nine. Is that something you're already doing, or would that be an adjustment if he wants you to do that?
I think it's something I've done naturally. I don't think it's something I really thought about. It's just my natural width and angle at a 9 technique, and he might tune it up a little bit, just to be a little bit more detailed towards what he wants. But I mean, if the guys get the most out of it, they're able to keep the edge, make plays in the backfield. Just because in the 6 technique, it's kind of hard. Sometimes you get that tackle doubling you. Sometimes they're trying to fan you, guys trying to reach you. Like, you don't know what to expect. At a 9, it's pretty much like playing a 5 that you're going against a tight end. And I like my matchup against every tight end.
Offseason, you faced Lamar Jackson a lot in the past. He's in your division. Have you been following that story at all, keeping eyes on it, or is it all about just what you guys are doing here?
30-30.
I like going against the best talent. But I'd have damn near 80 sacks if I could have got this guy down every time. And I want to see the best from him occur. But at the end of the day, whether he goes to the Ravens or somewhere else, someone's going to pick him up and he's going to play fantastic football somewhere. And I'm just looking forward to wherever that is. And if it's playing twice a year or once every 3-4 years, so be it.
You're up.
All right, good stuff out of Miles there. Coming up next, we'll continue our tour around the NFL in Minnesota with the Vikings. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. When a medical mistake causes you injury, call the medical malpractice attorneys at 1-800-ELK Ohio. Elk & Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Our off-season tour continues. We are in Minnesota today. Matthew Collard joining us, Purple Insider, covering the Vikings. He's joining us on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea, Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Matthew, thanks so much for taking the time. I guess let's start here. Aaron Rodgers, for the moment, is still in Green Bay, but, of course, the Vikings won the division a year ago. There's a lot of momentum for the Lions. I guess from in the eyes of the fan base, in the eyes of ownership, and you are a guy, Kwesi, there running that operation, where are the Vikings right now? How do they view themselves?
That's a really good question. And I would love Kwesi to give an honest answer about that. I'm not so sure that he did really when we talked to him last week, because it's really interesting. I think that last year nobody, including Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, expected them to win 13 games. And by all statistical measures, it makes no sense how they actually won 13 games. I mean, they did it with a negative point differential, which I have never seen in my life. They did it with 61-yard field goals to win games, with interceptions to win games. The Bills fumbled a QB sneak to allow the Vikings to win a game. I mean, everything went right for them, but I think in an honest, analytical assessment of the team last year, they were much closer to a 10-win team than they were a 13-win team. And, I think when you look at a team that's losing Adam Thielen, that's a big piece. When you're losing Eric Kendricks, that's an all-pro linebacker who's going out the door because of the cap issues. When you're not giving a contract extension to Kirk Cousins, I mean, everything kind of says that they would want to rebuild, and yet they haven't torn it all down yet. They haven't traded Za'Darius Smith. They haven't traded Dalvin Cook yet. It seems like that's coming, or he's going to be cut. But also this team has Justin Jefferson. So how do you do any sort of actual rebuilding when you have Justin Jefferson? So everything is kind of on the table for them right now, and I think that it's really the next couple of weeks, months, the draft and what they do with a few key players here that will tell us, do they really think they can kind of run it back and try to win, or are they looking much more at what Kwesi would call a competitive rebuild type season?
Well, it feels like they, as you pointed out, some of the moves would say they are definitely trying to compete, bringing in Marcus Davenport. But you're right. It's interesting. And you mentioned Dalvin Cook, who has been, in my mind, so synonymous with the Minnesota Vikings and been one of the top running backs in the league, since coming into the league when he's been healthy for sure. You think he could get traded? What would that even net in return? And then what would be the plan? Just draft somebody this year at running back? Because it's been for them for so long. Thielen is now gone, but it's been kind of Jefferson, Thielen, Dalvin Cook, and Kirk Cousins, and they've always been able to score because of that quartet.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I think what it's going to net in return would be way, way, way less than what fans think it should net in return. I mean, the league is smart, right? I mean, they've got to look at Dalvin Cook and say, 28-year-old running backs, that's the big red flag type of season. He's extremely expensive. He's coming off shoulder surgery. He's coming off a season where his yards per touch went down, I think, for the third straight year. And he was not the same running back to my eye. And also just in general, to their entire running game was not all that effective with Dalvin Cook in there last year. So either he didn't sit or he was starting to fade from what he used to be. And I mean, you guys know this. When you lose 1% of, that speed, you're not the same running back as you were before. So, I think that the Vikings are looking to move on there and that they want – I mean, they drafted Ty Chandler last year as a fifth-round pick that no one's ever heard of, but he was very good in training camp and preseason last year, and I think gave them reason to believe he could be part of a duo. They also brought back Alexander Madison, who, I mean, that poor guy has been sitting there behind Dalvin Cook, but every time he plays, he's good, and I think that he made a real impression on them, last year. And so I think they view it as a little bit running back by committee. Maybe you're taking a running back in the fourth round or something who's got some high end. And we've seen lots of, third, fourth round running backs turn into stars. I think that's a much better plan than it would be to just run back Dalvin Cook again and kind of just hope that he bounces back from a bad season. But who is actually making that trade? I mean, when you look at his cap hit, his contract, what team is saying, oh, yeah, sign us up for that, especially if they feel like the Vikings have to cut him? why wouldn't you as another team just wait and then pick him up after the Vikings let him go? I think that's ultimately what happens, but maybe somebody ponies up like a 5th-round pick or something, kind of like an Amari Cooper deal from last year. I just have a tough time seeing it. The NFL knows exactly how to value and replace running backs very well these days.
And the thing that I suppose has got to be hard in terms of the Dalvin discussion, eventually a Cousins discussion, is you're in the NFC, and you look around and you go, geez, I mean, obviously Philly's very good. The 49ers, I think most people kind of have second in any sort of power rankings in the NFC, but they got quarterback stuff. You look around the NFC and you go, who knows what happens? You're a Jalen Hurts injury from being the 1 seed and playing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny about that because, right, like the AFC has all of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And it's kind of wild. But yet, you kind of go back and look at the scoring from last year, and I think it was either 5 or 6 out of the top 10 teams in scoring came from the NFC, because there's kind of this weird thing going on where some of these NFC teams, though they don't have superstar quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and so forth, they have really mature rosters. I mean, San Francisco is certainly at the top of that list. Philadelphia is at the top of that list. And how about, the Detroit Lions? I think that because they're the Detroit Lions, and you guys may know something about this, that your reputation kind of precedes you. But, the Lions are good. I mean, that roster has added, I think, 3 free agent cornerbacks. They've got a bunch of high draft picks where they could get instant impact players. They were already a top 5 offense last year. They did not lose their offensive coordinator. I mean, I think that, when you compare roster for roster to the Vikings, that looks a lot better there than it does in Minnesota. I also think that, a team like New Orleans, we don't really have to take Derek Carr that seriously as the next Patrick Mahomes, but is he as good as Kirk Cousins? Is their roster as good or better than the Vikings? Probably. So that's a big difference. And also, the Vikings' schedule this year is an absolute monster. I mean, they face everybody. They face San Francisco, Philadelphia, Kansas City. I mean, it's Cincinnati. It's just a beast of a schedule. So I think if they're looking at that and saying, oh, yeah, we can just run it back, and because the NFC isn't perfect, we're gonna have a chance. I mean, I get that logic, and if they say it, I won't be surprised. But I just have a tough time buying it. I think last year was probably the worst the NFC will ever be, and the best this Vikings group as a core will ever be. So I think that they do have to kind of look at it more through a long-term lens. And I feel like not extending Kirk Cousins sort of waved the flag that they are doing that.
It really is going to be fascinating, though, to kind of what you said, and that, we were talking about, for example, Lamar Jackson. We've talked so much, obviously, here in Cleveland about it with what's going on in the Ravens. And to the kind of the point that you made, any team in the NFC that brought him into their program is an immediate playoff favorite, right? And probably the favorite to win their division in any division other than perhaps the NFC East with Philadelphia, and maybe the West, you could say, with the Niners, but we don't even know who's quarterbacking them at this point. It's just kind of a stunning time in the NFC, and I think it makes it probably hard. Kirk Cousins, you're definitely going to be competitive with him, but did they do enough, in your opinion, addressing things on defense that they can be a serious contender? And then if not, where does that actually leave you? And you mentioned kind of with Kwesi and the competitive rebuild or not, or whatever it turns out to be. It does feel like the Vikings are in a very odd spot. They're too good to be bad, but too bad to be good.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, the defense right now is actually much worse, in my opinion, than it was even at the end of the season, and they were one of the worst defenses in the NFL. But go look, if you guys have a little PFF subscription, at Patrick Peterson and his numbers when he was targeted last year. He was one of the best corners in the NFL when he was targeted, gave up something like a 50 quarterback rating, picked off passes, was just fantastic. He's gone. And Eric Hendricks is an all-pro linebacker. Now they're putting in a guy they drafted in the 3rd round last year. That is a big difference between one of the best players. And not only that, Harrison Smith is a year older. We're not sure whether Zadarius Smith or Danielle Hunter are even going to be here. So even though I think that Brian Flores probably has a better scheme than Ed Donatel, and maybe if they had someone as good as Brian Flores last year, they would have had a better defense. But you can't run back last year's roster. So I look at it as, I have a very tough time. I tend to agree with the DraftKings folks or whoever sponsors your show. The over-unders are not particularly favorable for the Vikings. I think it's like 8.5. I tend to agree with that. I think that's exactly what they are, is kind of a middling team, which to me says if that's the reality, and I think it is, maybe they should have made a move to try to trade Kirk Cousins before restructuring his deal, or they could still actually do it after June 1st if there's some sort of trade out there. The Trey Lance rumors are out there. You mentioned Lamar Jackson. What a fun 3 days that was when Jeremy Fowler, put the Vikings and Lamar Jackson's name next to each other. That was a lot of good content, but I don't think that's happening. But there's options. It's really crazy. How often do we get this far into an offseason? And I can't really tell you kind of what's going to happen next for sure with this team. Usually a lot is decided by the draft, but I feel like a lot is still very much up in the air.
Yeah, certainly. I'll get you out of here on this one. What do you think the fans would want? What did they want the Vikings to do at this point? Is there a consensus?
Something new at the quarterback. Yeah,
okay.
Something new at the quarterback. I mean,
just
if
anything.
you guys got a McCown to spare or something.
One of those guys we could throw one your way.
Maybe. I mean, if you got a Josh or a Luke, or maybe even a Cade McNown, if you can find one of those. No, I'm just kidding. Like honestly, though, they'll take anything at this point. I mean, not literally a McCown, but I think with Cousins, we've seen all of the iterations of Kirk Cousins. We have seen the mediocrity from year in and year out, and last year was a good year for him, and yet still could not get them past the first round of the playoffs. When you have a quarterback who is the 12th best quarterback in the league, who costs the most, it's really, really hard to win. And, so that, I mean, like what you guys are banking on is having one of the best quarterbacks in the league and being able to work around that. I think the Vikings fans would be into that with Lamar Jackson. They'd be into drafting someone and building the roster around it, like Philadelphia or San Francisco. But doing this has got 5 years and 1 playoff win, and that year they were a 6th seed. So, I mean, it's just I think everybody's ready to kind of get out of this purgatory. And even if they were bad for a year, that Drake May and Caleb Williams are the quarterbacks. But it seems like this team and their ownership never really wants to pull the trigger and kind of really tear it down. And also with Justin Jefferson, you can. So it is a complicated situation, but fans are absolutely ready for some new direction.
Matthew, great stuff, man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Matthew Collar, Purple Insider, covering the Vikings here on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hardy Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. We will hit the categories on the Vikings. Your mailbag questions coming up as well. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Your home for the last time with Renew Home Exteriors Siding and Roofing Products. Bo here for Renew Home Exteriors team. They're the best. Don't spend all day with high-pressure sales guys. The team at Renew won't waste your day with hours of negotiating. Renew offers an upfront fair price. Make your project easy and enjoyable this month. Take advantage. Pre-pandemic pricing, no interest. Payments for 24 months. Renew Home Exteriors. Superior products, superior service. Visit RenewEstimate.com for more on the Minnesota Vikings. Hit the categories, my friend. Uniforms
baby.
On the Vikings. Keep them. Change them. Reminds me of the scores.
Yeah. Oh, baby.
Reminds me of the
It
scores.
reminds me of MVD from the Mall of America.
Oh, my gosh.
We were
Cole.
thriving. Cole. Yeah.
Cole showed
Legend.
up. God, that was great to see
was.
Cole. I think their uniforms are great.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
They're great. I think actually this might be their best variation of them, the ones they're currently wearing. Like the modern, they actually got the purple on the helmet to match the purple on the jersey. It's basically a modern version of the classic ones they wore with Random Moss. The only difference is the Random Moss era, the white ones had like a UCLA stripe on them.
Yeah.
As opposed to like the shoulder stripe. But it's really clean. The purples all match. I have no beef with it.
Here's if I have any beef, I don't like that the numbers.
Oh, Nike-fied numbers.
Well, like for example, take a look at a Dalvin Cook in a 33. The first number is a different font than the second number.
So that's a Nike situation.
They put a flare on that first three,
Right. It's
and
a
then
silly
the
font
second
for no
three
reason.
next to it is not the same. So that I don't understand.
Silly
at all.
font for no reason.
Yeah. So I don't like that. I do think I also though when you go look at some of the
Look at this
classics.
sucker, man.
Well, yeah. So we'll get to that in a second. It's beautiful. I like the classic though, the dark purple helmet they used to wear, like the old from like the 60s. When
Yeah.
like that was like a dark. It was a very dark purple.
Yeah.
I didn't like the one where you had the unnecessary like block piping down the sides of like the Adrian Peterson
those are
eras.
awful. Those are
what I
probably
would say.
the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, those aren't any good.
The ones they're wearing currently are pretty close to
excellent.
their old ones, that the ones they've worn throughout time. I think the numbering is on point, and I do like that the purples all match. I do think that's nice.
So you didn't like when the helmet was significantly
No,
darker.
I didn't like
Yeah,
that. I don't like when the helmet doesn't. I mean, the purple. It shouldn't be that hard to have a matching purple.
No, and they've got it now.
Yeah, now it matches. I think the helmet is pretty damn good right
it's
now.
Epic. It's elite. It's a beautiful uniform. Beautiful lid. The one thing I would say is though, if I'm making a variation on the white.
Oh yeah.
Give me a white lid with some purple.
Oh my
horns.
gosh, that'd be amazing with a purple horn.
Yeah.
Or even a yellow horn
Or
with purple
a purple trim on the
purple
bottom
trim
of it.
on it with maybe a purple grill. Would you go white grill on that?
I do both, and then I decide once I saw it in action.
Yeah, I like
But yeah,
that.
give that
They got a
white
lot. It's good.
White
it's
lid
good.
on there.
It's very, very good.
Yep.
My favorite one, I don't even remember if they wore them last year, but they're all white. They wore them like in one game maybe.
Yeah, it was last
but-
year. We thought it was going to be a white helmet when they
Oh,
teased
yeah,
it was
yeah.
going to be a whiteout. It's what you just pulled
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
They
that
wore it in
thing
one
is-
game last year. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Jeez, it's
Beautiful.
incredible. Absolutely electric. Stadium.
It's the best stadium in the NFL.
It is so good.
Period.
It is so good.
So good.
And if you are a northern city, like Chicago, you're going to build one, like, don't let pride. Take Marcellus Wallace's advice. Ignore the pride.
Wow, that's a great pull.
Great pull.
Forget it.
Well done.
Throw it
Good
away.
for you.
I tell you what Marcellus said, but we'd be off the air. Forget it. Build it. Build your version of that.
Of that.
Glass everywhere. It's bright. You see outside. It's like you're in a greenhouse. The place it's perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
It's
so good.
I couldn't agree more. It's my favorite stadium that I've ever been in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it. It's the best one.
When the snow's falling.
Let's see, I haven't been there for a game. I was
Oh
there
my
for a
God.
wedding. So I
the
haven't seen
game
it.
experience
awesome.
when they do the skull and then
Yeah.
and then snow's falling on the people in the
Fake
stands.
snow.
Fake snow falls.
Great.
Come
It's
on,
unreal.
It is awesome.
It's so cool.
How cool is that?
I got a
Viking
video of
game.
it last year when they were trying it out.
I mean,
we
that
were
is
like, this
so
is
good.
crazy.
I'm
It's
pumped
so
though
good.
because I think it'll be so much cooler to see that from the booth than
Oh, yeah.
from the sideline because you got to like see it fall right in front of you.
Like, can you imagine something like that on the lake with the glass, so you can
Yes.
look out into Lake Erie, on one end, downtown out the other end?
Yes, and then the top has
And
to
the
be
top-
that glass so you get to
Look up and you
sun.
Oh, come
unreal,
on.
man.
It's really awesome.
It's the best.
Yeah. Road trip to Minnesota. You can't
Yeah.
drive it, I don't think, but it's
From here?
You could if the weather was
full
nice,
day, right?
but
Feels
it's a
like
full
a long drive from here.
Long ways. You don't realize, people out here don't realize how big the West is, because you say, well, okay, we got to drive through Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and then we're in Minnesota. You don't have any idea the point of
how
reference
far
of how big
north
that
you
is.
still have to go.
Yeah, it's so far. But
if
it's
you're-
an awesome city.
It is a great city. If you're going, you want to go to the Nook.
Okay.
It's one of the best dive bars in any NFL city I've ever been to.
Okay.
And then Connor with a K turned me on to Mick Golden, Michelob Golden,
Sure.
or Mick Golden Light. They only sell it in
there.
Minnesota.
Oh, that's great. It's
fantastic.
That's great. Minnesota's awesome. The city's awesome. The fact that they built that city so that you didn't have to walk outside
It's
is
so cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
that you
all
can
the
stay
little
in
tunnels.
a great hotel, walk to the stadiums,
Skywalks,
and
yep.
skywalk.
They have the
everywhere.
tram that goes right through downtown. You can get to out
Yeah.
like if you're staying
gotta
downtown
slow
and you
It's
want to
awesome.
go out to
Mall of
Mall of
America's
America,
cool
you
to
can.
see.
Yeah, they crushed it. That
Yeah.
city's crushed.
It's by the way, 12 hours from here.
Yeah, that's
And $33 worth of tolls, 764 miles.
Yeah,
And
one
you got
way.
to deal with Chicago traffic.
One way.
you're not doing that.
No way.
No, that's
Fly.
not a road trip.
No, not
I
a
think
road
the
No, you could fly into Detroit and then Detroit up, or into
you
Chicago.
used to be able
and
to
up.
fly directly.
Well,
in the old
you
days,
used to,
which was
yes.
nice. That used to be my route home a lot of times. I'd go Minnesota and then in, and now they make you go one stop. Player on their current roster you would most want? Justin Jefferson.
Like,
Please.
not even a
Good
question.
Lord.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson.
Good Lord.
By the way, let me throw some at you right
Ridiculous.
now.
Yeah.
Throw some right now.
Yeah.
Top of your head.
All right.
Is there a better wide receiver trio in any franchise's history than Randy Moss, Chris Carter, and Justin Jefferson? Is there any other franchise that can put together a wide receiver trio that's that good? I'll hang up and listen.
Rice, T.O.,
And Deebo Samuel.
and Deebo Samuel.
No way.
You have the best of all time in San Francisco. T.O. was
T.O.
he
is
was
good.
right there with Moss. He was right there. Like, he's not viewed the same way because of all the off-field stuff, but he was unbelievable. Deebo is not Chris Carter.
No.
I mean, Justin Jefferson's young in his career.
If
so
Justin
he's-
Jefferson
if
keeps
he
going where
keeps
he is, though,
going-
he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Do the Bengals have a trio?
No, not
Not
at that
yet?
level. No.
So they would have Jamar Chase,
So he would
Ocho
be
Cinco?
Ocho
Apples,
Cinco,
and then A.J. Green.
AJ Green.
It's pretty good.
I mean, I'm not saying
Pretty
it's the
good.
best, but I'm like,
No, it's pretty good.
If I'm thinking,
That's pretty good.
I mean,
It's
'cause
better
Chris-
than I thought of when you first. I forgot about the A.J. Green part of it.
Isn't Chris Carter?
He's
yeah,
a Hoff.
he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he
Yep.
didn't get in right away, but he's a Hoff.
Two-time first-team All-Pro.
Mm-hmm.
He had 1,000 yards receiving. And what's amazing about his career is he really didn't do anything until he turned. He had his first 1,000-yard season at the age of 28.
Oh, late bloomer. Like, he was sent packing from Philly.
Yep. And then from 28
Butted heads
to
with
30
Buddy Ryan.
28 to 35, 8 straight Pro Bowls, 2 first-team All-Pros, led the league in receiving, in catches once, led the league in touchdowns 3 times. Justin Jefferson's on a 100% Hall of Fame trajectory.
Yeah. Yeah, and they had Pete Randa, who I think is the second best receiver in NFL history.
Yes.
So, no, I think so. I think that's it. I think that's the list. I think it's them and then the Niners.
It's pretty good, though.
I'm sure we're missing somebody. You're right.
I-
The
no,
Bengals
I-
are right
What about
there.
like the Cowboys?
But it's Irvin and then what?
Drew Pearson?
Yeah, that ain't it.
No, that's not it.
Like Des Bryant and those guys.
I mean,
that's
Justin
not
Jefferson's
it.
been in the league
Raiders?
for 3 years.
Tim Brown.
No.
Justin Jefferson's been in the league for 3 years, and he has 4,825 yards and 25 touchdowns, averaging 15 yards a catch. He's never been below 1,400 yards in a season. Last year led the league with 128 catches and 1,809 yards. I mean,
He's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's
No, I think
crazy.
that's it. I think it's those are the ones. It's those. Honestly, Cincinnati out of nowhere might be third. Might be Vikings, Niners, Bengals third. Bengals are right there.
Bengals have to be right there. I was thinking, yeah. I'm gonna keep. I like this one. This is a good one. We
I'll
should
have
do
to
this
go
as a
through
set.
every. I'd like
We
to
have go
look at
through
every team and see who we're missing.
Because even like the Rams with So the Lions.
Well, I thought about Megatron and Herman Moore.
Megatron and Herman Moore is a good starting point.
Right. I mean, they drafted receivers in the first 5 picks in, 3 consecutive drafts with Charles Rogers and
then was Perriman, didn't Perriman have
Roy Williams?
Let's see.
Well, Brett Perriman was, but not like that.
He's the third.
Yeah. He's not on that level, though, of
Colts have a pretty solid
Wayne and Harrison.
Yeah.
But then it's the next
like
guy's
T.Y. Hilton, yeah.
Do the Packers have something better? Like they would
Packers
have
would
had
have Sterling
Devontae
Sharp.
Adams and Sterling Sharp.
And
then is it like Antonio Freeman or is it
Greg Jennings?
Jennings or one of those type of cats? But that feels like not on that level.
Yeah.
Sterling Sharp was on that level, and Devontae
Adams
is
Hall
on
of
that
Famer.
level. Yeah.
Well, the
Donald
Raiders could have
Driver?
Devontae Adams now, but I mean,
That's not really. I mean, because then you could do that. You could give the Raiders Jerry Rice.
I mean, the Packers, Antonio Freeman, Robert Brooks.
Yeah, I mentioned them because you also have Devontae Adams and you have
Yeah.
Sterling Sharp, who was a beast.
yeah.
Mm.
Greg Jennings, 2-time Pro Bowl. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I think it's Minnesota. I think Minnesota's
I
it.
think that's the answer. I mean,
And then I think it's San Francisco's second, and I think Cincinnati's third. That's how I would do that.
I bet if we
I have to think.
we'll have to think about it. We should do this in the offseason.
I don't think
one
there's
day.
a third, but
You know who the
Jacksonville,
Packers
like in
also
late
have,
90s?
and then you got to go way back. But like if you talk to the people around the league forever, like they'll say Don Hudson was one of the best players in the history of the game, and he would be on that. He'd be in that mix.
Jacksonville with Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardle, but they didn't have a third.
No, Keenan McCardle's
Yeah, and
not
he's
in
not
this
on
discussion.
that. He's not on the Random Moss. I mean, you're talking about 3 Hoffs. Jefferson's on the pace for the Hoff, and the other 2 are.
Yeah.
The Niners have 2
What-
Hoffs.
What
and then
about
you're hoping
Seattle? Like Joey Galloway played
It'd be
there.
Largent. It'd be Largent. Like
Joey Galloway. We're
Metcalf.
talking about the
Yeah,
best
this is
players
talking
ever.
about- it's just too. I
Throwing
don't know.
out
I don't know
names.
who the Seahawks third would be.
Joey Galloway has over
Hold on.
10,000 career receiving yards, by the way.
How many?
Zero. Over 10,000.
He had a couple of monster years there.
Yeah.
Back to the Cowboys, though. Irv Des Bryant.
Yeah, just a short stint. Like if CD can go, and they all wore 88.
Des Bryant. Des Bryant was pretty good.
Yeah, but it's not a huge window.
No, you're right. 3-time All-Pro, 1-time Pro Bowl. He had 3 great years. Des Bryant only had 3 great years. 3 years in a row with 1,200 plus and 12 or more touchdowns.
And he showed up here and talked to you in studio.
Gosh, that's great. Sun's out, guns out.
One of the most remarkable. Were you on Hard Knocks? Wasn't that on Hard
Yes, it
Knocks?
was on Hard
Yeah,
Knocks.
that was compliments of Simone.
Yeah.
Simone.
Was I off
Sun's out, guns out.
that day?
No, you were here.
I wasn't on that episode. I wasn't
sure?
there when Dez walked in. No, it was you
just
and
me.
Dez.
Yeah, it was just me.
I don't know where I was. Yeah. I like it. All-time favorite Viking,
Okay, so
other than George and Moss.
I believe that my answer, because I love this guy, and it coincided with kind of when I was doing fantasy, and one of my favorite memorabilia things that I have is a helmet signed by Randy Moss, and this individual was peak Dante Culpepper. I loved.
You just throw it high.
He was so
High
good.
and forever.
I don't think people realize, and it may only.
Well, it's because he fell off the cliff.
It may
with
only be
Miami.
1 year.
He had Randa and Carter, and he threw bombs. And they also had Robert Smith on those teams still, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
So, good Northeast Ohio
So
guy.
he had, this is his 2004 year. He goes back-to-back Pro Bowls, but in 2004, he completes 2004. I don't know that anybody would have this. In 2000, he leads the league in passing touchdowns with 33. He had a good 5-year run. In 2004, though, he completes 70% of his passes for 4,717 yards.
Jeez.
39 touchdowns, 11 picks, quarterback rating of 111. This is 2004. This isn't like
it's
a
crazy.
couple years ago. And also that year he ran for 406 yards and a couple more touchdowns.
I think that's the year that Randa won AP Offensive Player of the Year. I
Feels
think
like that was a pretty good year.
A Randa Moss year where he went nuts.
Buffalo in 91, Andre Reed, James Lofton, Don Beebe.
I mean, but that's not. Don Beebe, I don't know.
It
if we
doesn't
can
have to be in
reference Don
1
Beebe.
year,
No,
first
no,
of
it's
all.
just
This
all
is the
time.
all-time.
I'm just throwing out.
Yeah.
So they would have
I can't
Andre
find
Reed.
something that says top
They would have
three.
Stephon Diggs. Andre Reed and Eric Moulds. Eric Moulds is pretty good.
It is. It's not in this.
We're talking about this is
it's all time.
All,
like it's
well, yes.
You have
it's the best ever.
3 gold jackets.
Yeah.
You got a guy headed for 1 and 2 that are.
I do think the Colts.
They have 2 gold jackets, but they need a third. I don't know who the third guy
Texans
is.
need a third too because you got Andre.
Who did you have
Johnson
from the Colts?
And
DeAndre Hopkins.
And DeAndre Hopkins is not bad.
Harrison
what about
and
like
Wayne.
what about the Cardinals with Larry Fitz, Anquan, and would you count DeAndre?
No. He's a Texan.
He's a Texan.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, you got to be a majority. Yeah, because otherwise Jerry Rice.
Jerry
Rice could play for the Seahawks.
They had a pretty good David Boston for 1 year before he.
Who was the third
exploded
receiver
out
the
of his own
fastest
skin
show on
with
turf?
muscles? What?
It's Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Azakim.
We're together, but you could say for
so the Rams franchise isn't bad because you could have Holt is a Hoff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is Isaac Bruce in? But you also have you would why am I blanking?
Henry Ellard.
Well, and you
Crazy
also have the
Legs
guy who
Hirsch.
just won the Triple Crown.
Oh, and Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp. So you go Kupp. That's pretty good. Kupp, Holt, and then is Henry Ellard the third
or Brooks?
Or Brooks? Yeah.
What about Crazy Legs Hirsch?
I don't know.
Ricky Prohl.
A little Ricky Prohl drives into the great all-time receivers conversation.
Elroy Hirsch is a Pro Bowler. A Hoff. Led the league in receiving in 1951. 66 catches, 1,495 yards, and 17 touchdowns. Averaged 23 yards a catch.
So he's kind of the Don Hudson thing, right?
But by the way, he did that 1 year, never had 1,000 yards again, or 10 touchdowns.
But I think that the Rams are pretty good because that gives you could go Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, and Cooper Kupp. That's pretty good.
Fine, but
it's
like,
not
you're
Vikings.
not.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's a really good.
That's a decent one.
That's a
All
conversation.
right, we got to get to break, but think
Sorry,
about
Charlie
it.
Murphy, we're having
Clayton,
too much
Duper, anybody else from the Dolphins?
No.
We got to go to break.
Well, you said it. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Robert Smith I liked a lot. John Randall I liked a lot. And
We're clearly going to move the mailbag to
liked,
tomorrow or Monday. Probably tomorrow.
Adrian Peterson was pretty fun to watch.
AP would be, yeah, that's
we have time for, you want to do, we teased it. Let's do a couple of quick mailbags for the people.
Some guy was talking crap about my golf game.
What did he say?
Where the heck did it go? Hey, Peepaw, was last night in your league your first round from the senior tees? Also, do you think moving up so far will help you keep within 10 strokes of Z?
Here's what I would say, though, to that. Here's what I would say to that. You should play the appropriate tees. And one of the things that I've been hearing a lot in golf is, as opposed to women's seniors, club, pro, whatever, tips, whatever, that tees should be handicapped. That if you are a 15 plus, you should not play back. You should play up. It doesn't make any sense. Like, people view it in that way, and they should view it in terms of the appropriate tees for your ability.
I like
1 minute.
that.
1 minute.
I like that. Put that in your tailpipe, Ethan.
Yeah, take that, Ethan.
Wow. Yeah,
How's
I
that
mean,
sound?
I think right. You go to most places, and it's like now it's diamond, double diamond, and yeah, you figure it out. You know where you're supposed to be playing from.
No, I don't think enough people
fast.
do.
Play
You
fast.
hit it. That's the most important thing. Play fast. Play where you're supposed to play.
Ready golf.
Be ready.
There's somebody,
golf.
my boy Pac-Man Jones had a hat on the other day that said play. It just said play bad fast.
Yeah,
There it
perfect. That's all anybody
I'm
wants.
not great, but I keep moving.
That's all anybody wants.
Gibbe, first of all, were you playing at some forward tees or something? Is it somebody who'd scouted
No.
your
30,
He's saying
30,
that
30.
Gibbe is bad, and that now is he playing for the senior tees, so he can be within 10 shots of you.
If you want him within 10 shots of me, he needs to play 10 holes.
And on that note, the next level is next. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.